Meera Sood, because the younger generation is often getting information on social media. There is information which is of a positive kind, there's information of negative. There's also a feeling that today there are YouTube videos where pornography is easily accessible. Some believe that's a concern. There are conservatives who believe that needs to be clamped down upon. Are these all genuine concerns, or are we simply running away from the real problem, which is the way society is conditioned?
I mean, I think, look, all of these also go into conditioning society. We cannot ignore the fact that today a large section of society, particularly the youth, is conditioned also by social media. So, and if we can't escape it, however much, some of us may want to. We really need to look seriously at how we can use it to our advantage, how we can, put out the right kind of content, and how we can curb disinformation. And it's I mean, that's a topic on its own. I mean, that is a topic for a whole other debate. How do you curb misuse of social media, and how do you curb fake news and all the rest of it without clamping down on free speech and dissent? That's a whole other issue. But the fact is, it's part of the conditioning. How we families, schools, all of it. Conditioning is everywhere. It's not even just your parents. It's everywhere. And there's sometimes very often parents can do little. And of course, it is also a conditioning that is not just, as I said, not just in terms of gender relations, which is, of course, the most basic issue here. It is not just in terms of gender relations, but also in terms of a certain impunity that we see because crimes across the board, not just gender related, but across the board, institutions don't function properly. Justice is often delayed, if not denied entirely. Money can buy your way out of money, and power can buy your way out of most things. So we need to look at these two things in tandem. That is also part of our conditioning, that we do not believe that institutions will ever come after us.
But the institutional problems will require massive reform, police reform, judicial reform. But let's look at simple issues, Lalita Kumaramangalam. And I refer both to Badlapur in Maharashtra and in Kolkata. The fact that you have a young doctor who perhaps goes to a seminar room to rest because she's been on duty for 36 hours. I saw a letter written by a young doctor in a Safdarjung hospital, which has been published, where she speaks about the prejudice that she faced in the hospital from her male superiors. There are hospitals which did not have separate toilets, she claimed, for women. And then you have in Badlapur, in a school, where again, a young girl perhaps has no place to rest. She has no place to go to a toilet. Is the infrastructure itself heavily weighted against women at all levels?
Rajdeep, I think you're giving too much credit to infrastructure. There hardly is any infrastructure in this country for women. As I told you, I mean, have you seen the police on the streets, the guys and the women who do the daily beat? They have no water, they have no toilets. It starts there itself. In schools, toilets are very often very dirty, even in some of the big fancy schools. When I studied in a very big school in Delhi, nonetheless, the girls, when we have our periods, etc., it was a huge problem. We don't have access to medical facilities if we need them. We don't have, we are not taught to talk about our physical self, for example. Forget about periods and sex and things like that. We are not taught to even stand up for ourselves. Somebody puts their hand on our breast and we back off and mutter under our breath in this thing. But how many of us even today have the guts, and I'm saying us very consciously, have the guts to talk about it, not just to the person who did it to us or to our close friends, etc., but to the authorities who can take any decision to, punish that person. Most of violence against women, abuse against women goes unreported. As Brinda said, over 80%.
No, is that because of fear? Is that because of fear?
People we know.
Is that because of fear? Is that because of gender prejudice? Is that because of asymmetry of power?
It's not because of any one thing. It's all of them put together, but a lot of it is still up here in our head. The way we think that women still are, I wouldn't even say second class, somewhere down in, in the class citizens. And even today, it's about financial inequality. It's about inequality. It's about a lack of power. And this is not going to change overnight.
So how?
It cannot change overnight.
So how do?
But we need to have better accountability at all levels: police, politicians, bureaucracy, in schools, colleges, everywhere where we work, etc.
What do you mean by? Give me an example. Give me an example of what you. When you say accountability, what do you mean? Give me an example where you believe. How would you make someone accountable? Let's say in a school or an office. If a woman complains of sexual harassment, we have the Vishaka judgment, but we've often seen that the judgment itself has not necessarily led to dramatic change in many workplaces. So how do you ensure accountability?
Yes, because the woman herself gets fed up of waiting for something to change. She makes the complaint in the hope that immediate action will be taken. They don't. The first thing is to question the woman. Did you dress properly? Why were you there alone? Why didn't you complain before? This chap has done it to you before, etc., etc., etc. Like the filing of an FIR, when a woman makes a complaint, FIR is only in the police station. When you're in a school or a college or at home or at work, you don't go immediately first to the police station. You try to go to your boss or your friend. And okay, you have to go to a superior. Does that superior even listen to you? There itself, there is no accountability, Rajdeep. For example, in your TV studio, I'm not saying it, please, this is not a personal thing. I'm just giving an example. Okay, let's talk about that school. Or look about even the RJ card thing. Look at how the principal got away with it. That fellow was not held accountable. It was after public outrage that he has now finally been sacked. I mean, this is what I'm trying to say. Nobody is held accountable.
Right.
We say, yes, the chief minister must resign. Then every chief minister in India will have to resign. I'm not saying it is a joke. If I had me, I'd have said, let them all resign.
Okay.
But again, like I say, I'm going to probably be, torn to shreds even in social media after this tonight. But the point is not that. The point is nobody is held accountable. Okay. It's not one or two.
Aparna said you wanted to...
The principal has been questioned. No, in Archekar, the principal was questioned by the CBI after a lapse of how many days? Why are... you want to call them victims, fine. Victim survivors, why are they named when you know that social approbation is going to, kill half their spirit? Everybody just wants to go and hide somewhere after seeing the reaction from people. It's almost always and almost, not almost, it's always, almost always and mostly against the survivor or the victim.
Okay.
What was she doing there? Why was she wearing this? Why
can I just get... Aparna said you want to... I take your point, Lalita Kumaramangalam. Strong words that you are using. Aparna Sen, you raised your hand.
I think that the women who are privileged and empowered must stand up for their for other women who are not. It's very important to do that. For instance, something very encouraging just happened in Kerala, in the film industry, in the Malayalam film industry. Over there, they formed a committee. I think 10 years ago, they started a HEMA committee. There's this actress called Parvati. I cannot pronounce her last name. It's difficult for me, a Bengali. But, that has been recognized. They have made reforms in their workplace possible. They're really working hard towards it. And I think women everywhere must actually, start this sort of thing, so you're saying that's a solution.
That's an idea. Whether it's women doctors, whether it's women in the film industry, come together as a collective that then ensures some systems are put in, put pressure
it's very important. This HEMA collective has really worked.
Okay. Brinda Adige, give us any other successful example.
It's called the HEMA collective.
Give us an example that you know of where women have been successfully able to push back from your experience.
That we do on a daily basis in the places that we are working, Rajdeep.
No, I'm asking
There are collectives of women standing up for women. But I also believe that we need to take in all men to stand. It is not just a women's battle. It's not just a group of women fighting. We have to encourage everybody to speak up.
Men
because we are a society that continuously silences women, continuously tells women that if you don't talk about it, you're a good woman. And men will be there and some of them will make some statements. But we want men to be party to this entire battle. We are not saying all men are bad and all men are good. No, we are saying that somewhere in the silence, when men don't raise the issue, it's okay. It doesn't matter. So that is not what we want. We want them to talk and speak up. We want children to be told what is good touch and bad touch the moment they enter, the moment they were able to understand words and they enter into any kind of kindergarten. Even today, we do not want to talk about it, saying that let me not corrupt my child's mind. We were talking about onslaught of information. That mind has already got corrupted and confused. We need to now steer that information so that there could be weighing of it. Social conditioning is totally missing. We've somewhere along the line forgotten about all of that.
Yes,
that social conditioning also is our responsibility. But at the end of the day, institutional responsibility and accountability, nobody can absolve themselves from it. We must hold them accountable at every level.
Lalita Kumaramangalam, you raised your hand.
Yes, Rajdeep, when I was in school in Chennai, in a Catholic school, we had something called moral science. In between, I think it was called value education. We need to bring this back into schools. I know I sound very old-fashioned perhaps and quite out of sync today, but children are not taught what is right and wrong. And children at a very young age, we need to start teaching at home, but more importantly in schools. And in any educational institution, any training institution, etc., when you're training the bureaucrats, the doctors, etc., lawyers, value education, for want of a better word, has to be part of the curriculum. It has to be drummed into our head again and again and again that this is simply wrong. You should not try it even if you think you can get away with it. It doesn't matter what social media says. It doesn't matter how rich, powerful, etc. you are. Wrong is wrong. And we need to start shaming people who are doing wrong, regardless. We don't do it.
You had also raised your hand as we come to we got a couple of minutes. You wanted to make a point, ma'am.
Yes, about accountability specifically. Please look at the people who are in the Vishaka committees. Who heads them? Generally, the people chosen are those who will not be, who will toe a soft line. These things are the ones which we need to change. And any untoward incident happening, hold the members of the Vishaka committee at workplaces, hold them responsible, take some action, take out their increment. And same with the police. If there is any rape, then hold them accountable. Take some punitive action. That is one part of accountability.
So you're saying there needs to be exemplary punishment. I mean, I sometimes wonder whether tougher laws are needed. How do you otherwise instill fear of the law? There's been this entire debate, Meera Sood, over capital punishment. Is that a solution? Clearly, it doesn't seem to. There have been cases where people have been given capital punishment, but it doesn't necessarily work as a deterrent. Are tougher laws the answer, or is it a need to ensure certitude of the law?
I don't think tougher laws are the answer. I don't think capital punishment is the answer. I mean, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a tumor, frankly. I mean, that's the analogy that I can come up with. Our laws are quite tough.
Should there not be fear of the law? You don't think fear of the law works?
The fear will come when systems are implemented, when the law is enforced, when every stakeholder in the system acts with integrity, and when we have a culture of law-abiding citizens. Also gender-sensitive citizens, but law-abiding citizens at the very least.
Aparna Sen, this entire debate started with, obviously was triggered by what happened in Kolkata. You've been someone who's seen Bengali society over the years, observed it closely, depicted it in your cinema. Has what has happened become a wake-up call? Do you believe it's taken people out of their sense of somnolence? There was a feeling Kolkata is among the safest metros in the country. All of that has been brutally awakened in the last few weeks.
Well, it's awakened, but how long it will be able to continue, one doesn't know. Because, people have to also get on with their lives. They can't be on the streets protesting forever.
But do you see some, are you hopeful? Are you hopeful that this is a moment that will change the way, that will bring change? Are you hopeful of that? Is this Kolkata's Nirbhaya moment?
Well, what can one do but hope? No, I really feel that, I don't even, as Barkha was saying the other day, there's no point in calling them Nirbhaya, Abhaya, and making them appear fearless. I mean, that's in a way really romanticizing them. But really, I think that there has been a wake-up call. There has been a wake-up call also for governments, I think. It's not just... It's
And
not
a government headed by a woman chief minister.
People protesting.
It's a government headed by a woman chief minister that needs to wake up.
Yes, and now the government is being held accountable by the people.
Right.
That is a good sign.
Okay.
That in itself is a good sign.
Let's leave it there. Accountability is the buzzword that we've heard from all our panelists. Somewhere down the line, unless you are able to fix accountability and thereby force people right down the system, politicians, judicial officers, police officers, and us in civil society, to ensure that accountability above all else, women of this country will perhaps in several public places still remain unsafe. We need exemplary punishment, but we need to ensure accountability and, yes, in the long run, social conditioning above all else. I appreciate my guests joining us. You all are all women who I hope will continue to speak up loudly and fearlessly, because we need more voices to speak up.